Good morning. Welcome to the DRC committee review for February 21st. Our first case is use variance 2024-1 for Carl and Angela Bergler. I can come up here. This is an informal review to allow a small business out of an existing accessory structure that focuses on softball/baseball skills. Located at 165 West, 500 North. What are you proposing? Could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, my name's Carl Bergler. You're looking at our property here. My wife and I, we live on this property here. All of our kids play sports. My wife just recently, in the last year, became the assistant varsity coach at Valparaiso for softball. And all of our kids play sports, like I said. So we farm this land. We also have areas in the barn for being able to do sports, just related to having the kids. A lot of people that have come over to hit in our barn and have fun say that it's well done. And that, along with my wife's experience doing softball, it's something that we would like to be able to do by appointment only, part-time, and do some hitting out of the barn, allow people to come over and get lessons there and that sort of thing. So, and I believe this is the right process to get something like that approved, so that's what we're here to do today.
Excellent. I think what we're here today is just to weigh in on our opinions and ideas about this. They are scheduled for BZA tonight. So yeah, we're just trying to get some ideas on, or any concerns or questions or comments or anything that you have.
This is an informal review for tonight.
Okay, thank you. I feel there's so many people here, it's like,
Well, it's the different departments, so then we have the health department, highway engineering, anyone that has concerns about running a business out of a residential area.
Makes sense.
So we're just getting kind of inputs for tonight when you go in front of the board. If these guys have any concerns, they can be addressed tonight, some concerns, and then it gives you, kind of prepares you for tonight too with some questions or, how you're gonna, conduct your case tonight. So,
Thank you.
Informal, but it helps.
Thank you.
Dan, you want to go first?
Sure. So, I was somewhat involved with this. You put a septic system in for the pole barn last year. Some comments I have is this was not presented to us, that you were going to run a business out of there. So anything that is considered non-residential, so if you're running a business out of that pole barn, you have to go through the State Department of Health and get their approval on the septic system. They would spec it out. They would tell you how big of a system you have to put in based on the employees, the number of people you're having in there, and stuff like that. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to fill out the application for the State Department of Health, submit all the information for that septic system that we put in for that pole barn last year, and see if it's sufficiently sized for what you're going to use that pole barn for, since you're running a business out of it. If it's not, you're going to have to expand that septic system and maybe modify it. Since you're, it's not just a bathroom in there, for use for you personally. It's now you're running a business, so you're going to have to make sure that that system is sufficiently sized through the State Department of Health. So I could get you that application and everything. If you want to stop in downstairs, or I can send you an email if you get me your email address or something after the meeting.
Okay.
I can forward it on to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. That's my only.
Okay. Some questions that come to mind for me are, did you say folks are already using the facility for its eventual purpose right now?
Yes, we hit in there with our kids now. We filled in there with our kids now. My daughter plays on a 12U travel ball team. They come over. We're not charging anybody. We're not running a business, but we do use the facility and have friends over and her teammates.
Okay. How would you say the usage right now that you're using it at compares to what you see it being when the business would be operational? Quarter, half?
Yeah, probably somewhere around a quarter. See, this is something that we both have very busy schedules. We're not looking at this as being something full time. It'll probably be weeknights that we don't have anything going on, which is kind of rare. I started drawing up a mock schedule for like what March could be, and with all the dates we don't have, there could be opportunities from like 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. But the nights that we're able to do it, it ranged from maybe 2 nights a week to maybe 4 nights a week if we don't have a lot going on.
Okay.
As far as like, a weekend, we're doing travel ball, we're doing a lot of things, so it's not going to be too often that it's going to happen in the weekend.
Okay.
Right now, they're using it. The team comes over 1 night a week right now, and they probably hitting it a couple nights a week. So it's probably not going to increase a whole lot. You said 25%. I think that's probably optimistic for us to have that much business.
Okay. And these are probably just some of the types of questions that'll come up this evening for you as well. As far as from a stormwater perspective, because of the people that are going to be coming, and you see right now, I mean, a whole team is coming. You're saying that's maybe a quarter of what could ultimately wind up there. Are you proposing any additional parking area?
No, I mean it wouldn't be like an increase. It would never be more than what they come over on like a Tuesday night. So there's 10 cars. It's
Oh, so when you say a quarter, you don't mean that the time of use, but the number of people isn't going to quadruple that are
correct.
using it at a time.
No,
Okay.
right. There's only so much space in there to do anything, and really anything more than a team's inefficient and not effective anyway. The only way we're going to do this is by appointment, so it's not going to be like open hours, come over. This is also our home,
Sure.
It's going to be appointment only, and we're going to have to, it'll probably be more than anything just like a couple people at a time, because they'll probably rent a lane here and there.
Okay. Additional lighting being proposed as a part of this?
No, there's none. That we have 19 lights between the house that shine onto the driveway and the barn, and I have a really high-powered light that really lights up the whole thing as well. And there's also, you can see there's 2 pillars that also light the driveway. So.
And then as far as sound, I think you said that this was something that would run until about 8 o'clock in the evenings?
Yeah.
I'm good for now.
Kevin, would you like to go?
Sure. This is just a rehearsal for tonight, so
Right.
it's an informal discussion, but we try to bring up the points. What particularly interests me and how many vehicles you plan to have visible. Bear in mind, it's tough once they take an action to try to enforce in the future. So, we're looking at this as an interim use. The biggest concern I saw right off the bat was, as David brought up, the number of parking spaces you're going to take. What kind of traffic impact are you going to have on 500 North and the hours of operation?
Yeah.
I answered that in part, but 10 cars pretty much is about half of your wife's team.
What's that?
10 cars would carry about half of your wife's team, maybe 2 kids per car.
No, there's only 10 players on their team.
No way.
Yeah, it's a travel ball team. They don't.
Oh, I get that.
Yeah, it's not like it's a high school team. The high school team only had about 12 players last year.
I coached youth sports too, and I've had conversations. It's been a while, and somebody was telling me the numbers are reducing in all the sports, sadly.
Yeah.
So you're going to be looking at 10 cars max, you think, for right now, unless you want to do regular clinics other parts of the year. You don't appear to be affecting any other neighbors from what I see, because you're distance from that Waterford to the north, or
Waterford is to the north.
And historically, thank you. That's a nice picture. We've had concerns with the intersection to the south, but and Waterford's to the east too, and the drainage tends to go to the southwest there. Unfortunately, there's a very small tile through the field to the south. I don't know if you farm it. Froberg's used to own it.
Yeah, I know. We've actually farmed it, and when Dean owned it, so.
Yeah, but you're not going to have that much impact on drainage from what I see. Lighting was another issue. I suggest you might beef up your lighting for the driveway at the intersection, so your kids can see where they need to turn in clearly. It's still a pretty busy street. There's more traffic than most would expect on 500 and turning that way. Other than that, I don't see any issues with it.
Yeah, the parking, I measured the parking this morning because I didn't know if you guys would ask that, but the driveway is 283 feet all the way to the back, and it's 150 feet from the back of the driveway to the pillars. It's 45 feet across, like where you look, I think there's a machine there, and then it's like, might have been 79 feet across back there, so you know, I've actually been paying attention to that, knowing that something like this would come up on the nights the kids are over, and the parking's actually real nice. They just park along the building, and
Yeah, I don't see a problem with the
Yeah.
parking at random. It's your yard, but, you know, I'm sure you're gonna protect it. Plus, you wanna make sure nobody parks on the septic field, and if there's a
Right.
septic field, it's
Right.
far enough away. I did have one more question about the well. Are both buildings, your house and the outbuilding, served by a common well?
I believe the answer is yes to that. Yeah, the septics are separate, but I believe the well's the same.
And I defer to the health department as far as a well requirement if you're going to use this as a commercial building.
Well, if it's going to be considered a commercial septic for the barn, then the well's going to have to be 100 feet away from that septic system. So I'm just pulling up the design to
See where it's located.
Yeah,
That was kind of
that
back and forth.
changes things. Yeah, they should be, the well's in front of the house, like
Oh.
kind of where that sidewalk
It's near yep.
Comes off the front of the house. The well, according to the drawing, is right up in here.
That's right.
So the 50-foot radius is kind of out here. So the septic for the pole barn's over here. So it should be,
Well, we'd be looking at 100 feet though. From
yeah, it should be more than 100 feet though, is what I'm saying, given where the well is located in comparison to where the septic system was installed for the pole barn.
Yeah, like
And you might visit with him and verify
Yeah.
that for his sake. That's it.
Because the well was existing when they put the septic in for the pole barn.
Yep.
So, and they showed it on the design.
Did you say that you had measured the driveway width at the right-of-way line? So,
the way I measured it today is I measured it from the back, and I wheeled all the way to the road, and I got
so right behind where it meets the road, did you get a width of the driveway? You said it was 75 foot at the back.
I did it right behind like the pillar area there, and it was like 45 feet across there.
Okay, that's where that machine was that you were talking about, right?
Yeah, it's probably in between the machine and the pillars is about where I measured.
Okay, well, with having traffic going in and out, and for a non-residential use, you just want to make sure that your driveway width is at least 24 foot wide.
Yeah.
That'd be the only comment that I have for this.
Martin, I think I measured yesterday when this came through, and I think that at the road intersection, I think it's around, as it flares out, I think it's 36. I think the bottleneck point, I believe, is 18. I think Evan called it out to you when we were talking about that. I think it's 18 feet right now.
Okay.
We've had to bring combines and things like that up through there, so.
Okay, I think that might have to be widened then for a non-residential use at that point. And, but yeah, I looked at the driveway turnaround width and we're good there too, because we meet that, you don't need to turn around since you're 75 foot at the back of that driveway, so.
You can turn a fire truck around there.
That's right.
What we,
I've had full-size semis turn around in that.
Yeah.
but listen to Martin, because you may want to or you do need to widen that out, because if you've got juveniles driving, coming in and out, you want to give them plenty of room that, because people are coming and going typically, it's safe.
We're still doing a little work. We got a little bit of dirt piled up there. We got a little bit of rock piled up there to do that, so,
Okay.
yeah.
And
We've
after
gotta,
that, you want to make sure we're not stacking people on 500 North. Like I said, the traffic
Oh, no.
are higher than what you
Yeah.
might really expect.
yeah.
As long as you get that 24-foot minimum, you should be good.
Yeah, ultimately, we don't want anybody stacked on, trying to pull in or trying to get out onto 500 North. We want all that traffic off. So I do have a question. you know, when you got the pole barn, you did sign a agricultural commitment letter. I mean, do you remember doing that?
I know that the reason why we built the barn was because we farm as well.
Right?
Yep.
And so since then, you've really incorporated other activities, because the other component of that letter is won't run a business out of there. I assume you're not charging for the services that you're providing currently?
Nope, I remember saying that at that meeting when we had our meeting before, and that's the whole point of applying and following the process now.
Right,
So-
because it was a commitment to not do anything except agricultural purposes within that structure. And I bring this up because these are the hard questions you're going to receive tonight, right? Like, you committed to that, and now you're sort of,
Yeah, I'm asking
More.
if we can do it. Yeah. Like I said, the main reason for that is there's a lot has changed in our lives since we had those meetings. My daughter made a travel ball team, and any of you guys that have had a travel ball kid, it becomes a big part of your life. And then my wife, you know, being the coach, joining the softball program at Valpo, seeing the facilities that are not around Valpo, seeing Crown Point continually, you know, kind of our kids have to go over to Crown Point to get the kind of lessons and teaching that could be done here. So those are a lot of the reasons why we have started to go down this path.
well, I would kind of disagree on that. First of all, we do have some facilities around here, and those facilities walk through our entire process. So what you're asking us to do now is to go backwards, right? Like, you didn't go through a development plan to create this structure and ensure that the lighting is not impacting your neighbors and parking and stormwater. You haven't gone through that. You built a pole barn to house agricultural equipment, and now you're beginning to morph that into a business. And that creates points of conflict, right? So that's literally what this board is bringing out to you. There are issues with the septic, there's potential issues, or you haven't even really addressed your stormwater other than a residential barn. And so my other component of this, my other point is that we do have some alternative facilities. We just did one. It's called the Hangar, and
Oh, it's phenomenal. Yeah, that's nothing like what we're doing. I mean, that place is an unbelievable facility.
right.
It's over in Washington Township. Yeah, that's
Right.
great.
Val Lemons,
I'm not sure on the owner.
What was the question?
Val Lemons facility?
Are you asking who owns it?
Yeah.
It's Shields.
Sheila.
Yeah.
But they went
Far.
through our entire
Lemons,
process.
some stuff too.
Yeah, that's,
And they can provide for that.
Yeah.
We have another one also, it's called Bases Loaded Indoor Facility. They're I think in Liberty Township, 884 North, 100 West. So that can also, I mean, there are some facilities out there.
yeah, there are some facilities, you're correct. I'm just referencing the ones that are in Crown Point. The hangar is very nice.
I think we addressed most of the items. The hours of operation will for sure be asked tonight. The lighting, you've got a significant amount of lighting. We actually do have a dark sky initiative in this county. You're required to not have light trespass. It's important, just the way the road is, that you're not, shining out onto the road or creating any kind of disruption with drivers. My second question, are you intending any signage?
I wasn't at this time. I had no plans to do anything like that. Like I said, this is something that we're planning on doing appointment only. I think it's going to be pretty part-time, and so the people that are signing up, they're going to have the address, and I'm not trying to attract necessarily more people just driving by. So I wasn't planning on doing any signage.
So any signage would need a permit. It's a separate permit. You have to come in and get that. You are also required to do, I talked to our building commissioner, and he said, if you get your use variance approved, you do have to go through and get, he's going to call it basically a commercial remodel permit. And there are some additional items that you'll have to address in your barn to make it essentially safe for what you're intending to do in there. I kind of have those details, but you can talk to him about that.
Can I have his name, please?
Sure, it's Mike Haller.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know Mike.
So part of that permit would also be satisfying the septic component of it as well. I think that's all I have.
Kelly, I have a question about use variance. So, and this is something that comes up at all the meeting you're going to be at tonight and what people are going to be asking you. So in the event of a use variance, does that open up any other doors of potential things that, because kind of the point that was made earlier by someone, by saying yes to a use variance, are there other doors that get unlocked for potential uses in the future that could
Well-
pose additional questions.
Typically, the board will make it fairly specific, and it could be time conditional. So they might only allow him to do this for a year, and then they're gonna revisit it, they're gonna have him come back and reapply. And they do that to see how well you're managing. If you're really expanding beyond what was agreed upon, then we start it all over and go through
We
that.
really do it to see if there's been complaints, if you're disturbing anything like that. So if we don't receive any complaints, then there's no issue, then the board doesn't have issues with it. Well, sometimes they do a trial for a couple of years just to see how the neighbors, because you'll have neighbors coming out complaining and stuff, and then it becomes you're blocking up traffic or something, and they'll revisit it, but if there's no complaints, then
Yep,
they don't mind.
that's why they call it temporary use variance, but is he invited to come back if there are no complaints for a permanent use variance? Like say in 4 or 5 years, or?
Not usually, not
Okay.
with being in a rural residential type
Sure.
district, So with that being an RR, you don't have to do a full development plan or anything like that. That's why you're going in front of the board tonight, the BZA.
It makes sense.
And the other issue, Mr. Burgley, you have to understand is we're concerned what happens with the next owner. I know it's going to be a long time in your family.
I hope so.
Because I know your father and other members of your family have lived here a long, long time and plan to continue to farm and live here. But we still have to be mindful of the next owner, what they believe they're buying.
Makes sense.
Any other questions? Anybody on the side? Yep, Mr. J-Bo.
I like you, interim director. Being new here, I heard him talk about, he said there was some agricultural, he signed a document. He said,
What's the document you made him sign for?
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear him. Yeah, there is an agricultural use commitment letter, and we do this when they come and ask for a barn that exceeds our height limitation or our size limitation, and they really, and even the use, limitation. This is actually R2 zoning, and so they had a significantly sized barn. The limit is 20 feet tall. I don't even know what this one ended up being. It's greater than 20.
Yeah, it's like 30, and yeah, I don't know how much you want me to expand on that.
No.
But this was a situation where Morton Buildings submitted the paperwork incorrectly wrong, and then they had to come represent.
But the
And
second part of my question,
I-
what we're asking tonight, question to the board here, is that we asking tonight that be amended, because you made it sound like because he signed that, this use isn't used, right? He can't make this use.
No, he can. He
No.
can apply.
Yeah.
Like you said, his circumstances might change, so he can move forward with
Yeah.
and amend the letter that you signed and like you
I
explained.
guess
to
that's
this
the point
board.
I was getting at.
Right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it.
Said it much better than I.
So I didn't quite hear it. Was there a question? Did we answer it or satisfy it or?
I think his question was, do we need to amend that letter that I signed when we got the height variance?
Isn't that the purpose of what we're calling?
Right.
Use variance will override that.
Yes.
Right. That is literally why he has to go for the use variance, because right now he's I would say
Violation.
borderline violation of his
He would have to
letter.
go
This is a
regardless if
violation.
he signed the letter or not to run a business off his parcel being the zoning, so it's not just because of the letter, it's because of the zoning.
But I think it's important the letter is brought up because you signed it, so it serves a dual purpose here for the board.
Yeah, I mean, that is the questions. The board is well aware of what you agreed to 1 year ago, and now here we are, right? This is not how, we do planning, right? We're not doing planning here. What we did is you built a barn, and you're right, there were some issues there with Morton, but now this barn is morphing into a business.
Right,
And it's not how that's not how the UDO is designed.
yeah, I understand that.
Right.
This is your guys' decision, and, I, from my perspective, have not violated anything I said I was gonna do. I've not operated a business out there. I had no intentions to doing it when I spoke with you guys last. Like I said, the things that have transpired and changed have been, softball's become such a big part of our life, and so.
And that's why we have the appellate.
Yeah.
You know, the Board
Right.
of Zoning Appeals.
Absolutely.
To deal with issues just like yours, to open up the possibilities.
Yep.
It gives you
Of
that
course.
opportunity to seek it.
But be prepared tonight too. It was brought up about the size of the barn. Look at your plans, or even bring your floor plan of the building. Have the dimensions and the height, because they'll certainly ask that. A few of them were probably at the original hearing that awarded the waiver.
And they'll probably be visiting as well. Usually
Oh, yeah.
they stop by and check it out. Any other questions or comments? All right, we'll see you tonight.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next case is use variance 2024-2. It's William Atkins concerning, located at 5006 Lakeview Drive in Valpo. This one's zoned RL, and this is another informal review. They're seeking to build a second family dwelling on a detached garage. I'm going to assume it's like a related living over the
Correct.
garage.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. And they are not on the schedule for the BZA hearing tonight, but they will be on, their application did not come in time for that, so they will be scheduled for our next BZA hearing. So, again, it's informal. Dan?
So, first of all, the current residence, is that on sewer?
It is.
It is?
It is.
Okay, because I know there's some kind of wonky stuff going on out there in terms of what's on sewer, what's not on sewer. There's some houses that are on septic. I know because someone contacted me last year, and I was like, well, who owns the sewer there? And I called VLACD. They said, no, Valpo owns it. Valpo said, no, VLACD owns it. So there's...
So I'm not real familiar with all the homes, but I believe that whole subdivision now is hooked up to city sewer. But what some of the homes have some type of ejection pump, like they all go into one kind of
They
retention.
go into a pit which pumps it. But
We're
I know-
gravity fed.
Okay, because I know that there's some houses out there that are still on septic,
Okay.
and I think there's one on Lakeview that I got a complaint, like there's a suspected complaint on, but we haven't found anything yet. But and it's there on Lakeview because I did have a Lakeview address, so I'm just trying to figure out, is
Yes, sir.
yours on, because if it's not on sewer, then you would have to expand your septic system, which
There's
there's no room there to do that. So, which would basically force you to tie on to sewer to accommodate this new, this potential residence above the garage. But you're on water and sewer out there?
You're correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have, do you have one of these pits, with the pump in it, and it pumps it out to a line?
No,
Or-
no, we're gravity fed.
Okay.
Us and a couple houses are on a gravity fed.
Okay.
If you go a little bit, I do know a few homes that would be south of me, down going towards Lake, maybe 4 homes go to some kind of ejection pit or something like that.
I'm not sure on the, I want to say it's that 5010 Lakeview, it's the one that we had, someone called us with concerns about. Just north of you, couple lots north of you.
Oh, north, okay,
That's why I'm asking.
sure.
Um,
And I'm not sure about that area,
no, that's why I'm making sure that you're on,
but I know about others,
on sewer. Okay,
yes.
that's pretty much my only concern, was to confirm whether he was on sewer.
David?
Can you pull the site plan back up there? I'm sorry, the satellite image. What is the, so you were the highlighted lot, I presume. What's the current ground cover? It looks, is that all paved?
No,
I see a vehicle there.
that is gravel.
Okay, gravel would still be considered an impervious surface. So it looks from, thank you very much. Great. Okay, so from a stormwater perspective, I don't see this being any type of big change. I do know that when I've seen other folks do, as you can see, the neighbors have a second structure there.
Yes.
I do know that construction time becomes difficult because of the
Yes.
confines of the site, and with the proximity to the water, you definitely would have to have some erosion and sediment control practices in
Yes.
place. And like I said, I don't know what the relationship is like with the neighbors, but I don't think people want all that stuff going over the line. So I know that becomes difficult given the tight. It looks like it's only 33 feet, and that whole area would be getting torn up. So again, erosion and sediment control would be a bigger consideration in this project than stormwater management would be. Is that something that you have explored? I see you have some drawings here. Is that?
Yes, we have.
And who is that? Who did that for you?
The architect is, I can't remember, well, Davis did our site thing, but it was, I can't remember the gentleman's name that did our architecture work.
Okay.
Right there.
For some name, it just escapes me. I apologize. Let's see if I,
No, it's L4M.
it's Elliot, but
L4M.
we worked with him last year, and he's done a couple of the other neighbors.
Okay.
Don Duncan,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, I don't have everything in front of me. I would think that given the proximity to the water, this probably, there's a chance that this would require an erosion and sediment control permit through our office.
Okay.
But like I said, for stormwater, I don't see this being, I don't see this triggering the full stormwater review. But I'm pretty sure on another one of these that came through a very, very similar type lot, I'm pretty sure this did require an erosion and sediment control permit. And you could be helped with that right upstairs
Thank you.
out of Suite 311.
So that's erosion sediment permit?
Yes.
You? Okay.
Again, don't quote. I'm
Sure.
pretty sure, but like I said, given the proximity to the water, I know that would be something that we'd be looking at. I'm good.
I'll just leap in. What's your height on the structure when it's all done?
To the gable peak is, I believe, 25 feet.
I think my only questions on this or concerns is your impervious area. You're pretty much have very little left
Yes.
over. So there is the potential that you'll need variances for that,
Sure.
a couple additional variances.
There,
I haven't really checked like your setbacks or anything else on there, but just be prepared that what you're intending appears to not meet the UDO completely. So even after we're done with this use variance, you may still need some board work on that to be able
and a lot of the
obtain a permit.
previous owners had concrete sidewalks, and we're taking them out and doing pavers. We thought that might help with some of the drainage areas or what have you. So, but I am aware of that. It's so small, the lot is.
Yeah, we were just looking to see what the
I
impervious
had a
area
bringer.
is.
That would be a very minimal
Offset.
or something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's something, but
Sure.
Are you done, Kevin?
I am done. That's all I had.
And that's 60% is the maximum you're supposed to recover by this requirement. So you're definitely going to need
Yeah.
a waiver for it. You'll need the calculations for how much coverage as you have. David mentioned the gravel driveway is impervious from my viewpoint. It packs in, there's no way that water infiltrates. In fact, for most of the ground around there, water's not really infiltrating
Okay.
for the most part because it's clay.
Clay.
The other issue, and I'm just going to bring it up, you've got a house across the street. Are you blocking the view of that house across the street from the lake?
That's a great question. And I've already talked with him, and even he had, it's no wider than our place that we have now. The illustration shows like an arbor, I guess I'd call it. But that,
All I was going to say is if he's going to say it doesn't bother him, have him come to the hearing.
Yes, and, yeah, and I have talked to him because that was very important to us. I would never want to, impede a view, and we tried to build it where it is not. And I've shown him and he has seen it, so.
And the other issue that comes to mind, it's tough for the firefighters and emergency workers in this area because houses are so tightly packed together. There's no place really to stage. You've got a nice area right now to put vehicles and trucks, and if there's an emergency, they can take care of it. Likewise, your elderly mother's going to be on a second floor.
Well, might be me. But no, I understand.
But yeah, I get it. But I'm just bringing these things up
Sure.
because they're likely to be brought up. This, like I told the previous petitioner, this is kind of a rehearsal for
Yes, sir.
the Board of Zoning Appeal. So you can at least think about answering these questions, save some time for them. But having an elderly person on a second floor,
Yeah.
there are issues with how long are they going to be able to maintain on that before
Sure.
they're in assisted care? How long before it's goes to another purpose, a rental unit, or is sold, and somebody has an idea of, like a lot of the properties on the lake, a lot of them are used for Airbnb and rental properties, and that's something really would be better for your neighbors if we didn't have a lot of those
Sure.
units, because obviously they're taking, and you're taking really good care of that area of the neighborhood, and that's wonderful. But I'm not sure that always
Yeah.
continues if they're rental properties. It's always a concern to me, we see occasionally have a living unit above a garage, and I don't know what the building code requirements are to ventilate that garage, especially in the day of self-starters. All of us have cars that we can
Yes.
remotely start.
Yeah.
At least my wife does.
Sure, yeah, I understand.
But,
Yes.
but it always concerns me that somebody would start a vehicle accidentally even, and it'd be running in a garage with a living unit above it, how that's ventilated, what kind of fire protections you're required to have. I'm not sure if this, that's something to talk to the building commissioner about. If there's some kind of provision in the building code that requires to beef up the
Yes.
deck between the garage and the upstairs. Parking is always another concern. When you got a garage, arguably you could park a couple of vehicles in it. Are you going to make sure that whoever in the long run has the apartment, your mother may no longer drive, but future tenants
Yes.
probably going to drive? Are they going to be blocking the garage? Are they going to be blocking Lakeview Drive? There's not really much parking around there. If you've
You're correct.
thrown a party,
Yeah, oh, yeah, you know that, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Neighbors, they're pretty much in the same boat.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, are you proposing that this structure go to within 6.2 feet of your property line?
There you go.
no,
Road right away?
well, at the edge of the street to our, is 14 feet, 14 foot 7 inches
14 feet to what?
to
Road edge?
the road, if I'm reading this correctly. Oh, wait,
Yeah,
No, it's
6 feet 6 feet from the property line,
to the property.
to the property line, yes.
Right. And that's important because the road is a public
Yes,
easement.
sure,
You shouldn't be parking in the easement.
sure.
We can help.
right, your setback is 20 feet. You're asking for a significant encroachment on that.
Yes,
Aren't these
I mean-
private streets out there? I don't think.
Yes, they are.
They are private,
they are.
But we're,
still 20 feet.
we still have to make observations for the benefit of
Yeah.
the rest of the public. The roadways, in
If-
fact, are maintained by, private entities. They gave the easements to the county, but we don't maintain the road.
I'm trying to get as big a area as I can, but if I go 20 feet, then there would be nothing there because I'd be,
Yeah, but
so.
I'll just play devil's advocate. You have a 9-foot 5-inch area between the existing house and what you're proposing, and you're trying to put a shed in there and other things. My point is, you could scoot it back. And again, we're informal, so we're
Sure.
trying to remind you of the things that are gonna come up.
Yes, I understand.
I'm sorry.
And that's kind of along the lines of what I was going to suggest, that it might not appeal to you, but maybe to just build an addition to the house rather than to have, you could still have your separate living unit, I know.
No, I mean, it's in,
But this would clear up other matters that, because you just have so many waivers you're asking for, and that's going to be a deal for another.
mhm.
We're just trying to give you the heads.
No, I do,
Be granted.
no, I understand,
Okay.
but, yeah.
Martin, good news. Let's have some
It's not a public road.
Yeah, right.
road.
I am happy about that. So we have, since this is a privately maintained roadway, we would still get a driveway application when this were to be completed, though, correct? I know that there's other subdivisions that have infrastructure that wasn't turned over to the county, and we still have driveway permits because of, the work on the roadway that's anticipated from that use.
That's a good question. I don't,
Because the easement is in county ownership,
Mm-hmm.
but it's, and it probably should be, just so that,
Right.
I would agree with that.
So then I would just be looking at driveway widths and for compliance there, because I think we would still need to meet that if we were to see a driveway application, and that would be a maximum of 24 foot. So just keeping the limits of the driveway from blending into everything else,
Sure.
and keeping within that requirement.
Sure.
The vision site triangles would be outside. That would need a variance as well. You would not be meeting that with the
structure.
in the way.
What, I don't know what,
Vision clearance triangles is just having a 50-foot each way triangle that you can see
Okay.
when you're entering onto the roadway. All driveways need to have them. All intersections need to have them. So you would need a variance for the structure being within the vision clearance triangle.
vision clearance triangle.
And that's all I had on that.
Any other comments? Mike, Rich, Christie, Monica?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Do you know of any, I'm not sure what I want to call these, the question came up before about your neighbor across the street being able to see the lake. Do you know of any easements out there where the people on the west side have easements, viewing easements out there? Have you ever heard of that?
No, I have not.
So
I have not.
No. Yeah, I think we've had at some occasion for that, and we haven't seen any evidence of that, Rich. I agree with that. The other thing you want to be mindful of, okay, you do the construction, you get the approvals, where are you going to put the dumpster? Yeah, that's something to
Sure, I do.
your contractor and be thinking about for the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah. No, it is tight quarters. I mean, as, our next door neighbor, he's getting ready to add on to his house, and we understand it, and we're certainly, don't want to be a nuisance out there, but we got short time to,
Which is the reason, in my opening statement I brought, my biggest concern is how this impacts the emergency workers and
Sure.
doing their job. As I explained to a friend one time, their job isn't to save our houses, it's to save our lives.
yes.
And to try to get the firefighters back over to your principal residence, or maybe even to your neighbors, and also protect the houses on each side.
Sure.
That's the other thing, since I brought it up, talked to the building commissioner about. I didn't really look at your plans, but you need to make sure you have firewall or fire.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Both you and your neighbors should have it, and the openings on the houses next to you will dictate that.
And Lakeview Drive would be the wrong answer for, and they say that's where they're gonna put the dumpster.
Yes.
And
Think
we'll
about it.
We'll remind all
Yeah.
the buildings, big subdivisions, same thing, that the roadway is not the place for the.
Yeah,
dumpster,
no.
No matter how many times they wanna put it there.
And my daughter does own a house a couple of doors down with the, you know, if we had to put it, you know,
There you go, you got a solution.
yeah. And she doesn't have an option of
There
that.
you go. Daughter staging yard.
With what you had said earlier too, if we shortened the length of the garage, I mean, because either way, we're not gonna get that 20 feet setback that would that be?
I mean, that's something you'll want to have in your mind when you go to the meeting. You could, you know, can I offer that or can't I? You know, it's certainly, and it's just something that you should be prepared to
Sure.
maybe offer
Yeah.
Also,
as a
cantilever
compromise.
to the second floor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Garage back, cantilever to the-
Well, if they're gonna move it back, they might as well make it an addition to the house. And I'll tell you,
Well, I mean,
appreciate that, having a
yeah.
separate garage going outside.
the reality is,
Protected.
I'd rather have just a garage. But when my dad passed away with my mom, it just, you know, and she has a 2-story now, you know, she's just a feisty person. But I thought I'd like to go that route first and then go from there. You know, it's, and the neighbor has the exact same thing that we have, except he doesn't have, it's just storage up there. It's not, so we went almost off the same dimensions as his, so it would look uniform also.
You're talking about to the,
It would be to the south.
5004, it looks like.
it looks
Yes.
like their lot isn't, they don't even have.
And their house is a little bit, yeah.
All right. Any other comments? Do you have any questions of us?
No.
All
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
All right,
the time for-
Christie will let you know, or Monica will let you know when you're scheduled for the next BZA, and,
He
Okay.
already knows.
oh, he knows. All right, excellent.
Yes. Yep. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other items today? Comments? Complaints? I don't want to hear them. Just kidding. All right, thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
He's got a fight.